Good evening, folks, and welcome back to yet another episode of NASCAR Backmarker Battles. I'm your host, Colby Evans, aka Start and Park Car on Twitter. And like I said, guys, welcome to tonight's show. We're reviewing it's the playoffs for Xfinity and Cup Series, and of course, lots of backmarker battles to talk about. Las Vegas, the city where you can win big or lose everything. And then, of course, we're going to be previewing this weekend's events at Homestead. So two fun races to talk about today. Thank you guys for joining into today's show. We're going to go through my little intro. I go through the beginning of every podcast show. The Backmarker Battles, it's an interesting episode today. Backmarkers were not, Las Vegas wasn't very kind to the backmarkers. Some did well, a lot of them did bad, but we're going to talk about that today. So you guys know the drill. Follow me on social media, Start and Park Car on Twitter, for all news, notes, and notifications about, ARCA, NASCAR, all low-budget stuff, and occasional stupid stuff I tweet. Like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for all notifications. You guys might have noticed we've made some changes to the YouTube channel. I have changed the name to simply Colby Evans Racing. And you guys also might have noticed I have changed the profile picture to my YouTube channel. I think it's just easier. The profile picture to my YouTube channel now is a photo of me and Brad Smith. It's the same profile picture that I have up on my Twitter. So I feel like it's just easier for you guys to recognize the channel. It's easier for you guys to recognize that it's me and not, another account. So that's why we also made those changes, made some changes to the bio because there's going to be a lot of changes to this channel in 2024, and I'm excited for that. So, yeah, like and subscribe, please. And then, of course, check out theracingexperts.com for all NASCAR media-related content. They are the official media partner of this podcast. So let's jump right into it, shall we? Las Vegas. Unfortunately, the Truck Series do not come here twice a year anymore. That sucks. I love the Truck Series at Las Vegas. For some reason, man, I think Las Vegas is probably one of the best 1.5-mile tracks with trucks. They always seem to put on a great show here. So, but no truck race this weekend. We had just the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series here. We talked about it on last week's show. The previous show, we had some pretty oddball entries. For this one, we'll kind of go over it again. For the people who may have missed last week's show, is that 2023 Alsco uniforms 302. For some reason, this race has 201 laps. I don't really understand it, but hey, whatever makes them happy, I guess. We had Garrett Smithley back in the 4. Greg Galding was back with Bobby Dotter's team in the 07. Stephon Parsons continues to run the 08. We had Lane Riggs back in the 11. Myatt Snyder returned to the 19. C.J. McLaughlin was back in his 5-race deal for RSS. Kyle Sieg was then put into the 29, of course. Joey Gase was driving for his own car, of course, the Emmerling Gase team. Ryan Ellis, of course, the deal with Carl Long. Ryan Ellis was driving for Tommy Joe Martin's, but in Carl Long's car, if that makes sense. The crew, the car, the crew, the tires, everything came from MBM. The only Alpha Prime thing that was on that 43 car was a kind of a setup by the original crew chief, Mike Brandt, who's Ryan's usual crew chief, who he's used his usual crew chief on a week-to-week basis. He kind of put a setup in that car. And then, of course, the 43 wrap. So, but the 43 was an MBM car. I do want to make that clear for the people who may have had some trouble understanding that. It wasn't an MBM car. Therefore, the 66, yes, Ryan Reed was back. His first NASCAR race in 2 years and his first Xfinity race in 5 years. It's been a long time. Been a long time, man. So it's great to see Ryan Reed back, of course, with his diabetes stuff. He was a likable guy. It was kind of hard not to like Ryan Reed. Very, very likable driver. So great to see him back. Daniel Dye was back in the 44. Roger Carruth was back in the 45. Patrick Emmerling. So you had both of the Emmerling Gase owners driving their respective cars. And then, of course, going back to Ryan Reed, that was an Alpha Prime Racing car, but with Carl's number 66 on it. It was kind of a best of both worlds deal for Carl Long and Tommy Joe Martin's trying to make the best out of what looked to be a kind of a complicated situation. So best of both worlds. We know Carl Long and Tommy Joe are good friends. I love Tommy Joe. You guys know I love Tommy Joe and Carl Long, so I'm not going to be mad at that. We had Dawson Cram out there with Mike Harmon. Was kind of shocked to see the 74 make the trip out there, but we said it on last week's show. They wouldn't go unless they didn't think they could make the show. And boy, did they have the speed. And then, of course, Kyle Weatherman in the 91. It's weird how Kyle Weatherman just kind of flip-flops from the 4 to the 91 week to week to week to week. That really kind of just got to be kind of annoying in some ways. But yeah, we came to practice. I almost forgot practice was on because I was on a Friday night. Usually I'm used to it ring, the morning of the race, but we had practice. All 40 cars got a lap in. Listened to quite a few different radios. During practice because I was just kind of hear what people were talking about. The 66 of Ryan Reed, some people were skeptical. He did get some TV time, by the way. Some people were skeptical how long it would take him to, readjust to the car. It didn't take long, man. It didn't take long at all. Within the first, maybe 10 laps, he was into the top 20. Now, again, the car did have a leased motor. I mean, we're not going to deny that. The car did have a leased motor. So Ryan Reed did have some decent power under the hood, which is good. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to – someone's texting me on my phone while I'm doing the show. But yeah, Ryan Reed did have some power under the hood. So he was top 15. And then, boy, you talk about blowing the field away. Dawson Cram and a Mike Harmon CHK car. Now, it did appear that Kevin Cram and the team did help kind of prep the car. This was a Mike Harmon car, 6th. At one point was 5th, but 6th in practice. That is unbelievable. A Mike Harmon car practicing in 6th place on a 1.5-mile track. I never thought I'd ever see that. Genuinely never thought I would ever see a Mike Harmon car practice top 10. That, my friends, is impressive. And that really goes to show you that Dawson Cram is him. And that Dawson Cram is a great driver. He's a good kid. He's a really, really good kid. I hated to see his truck team shut down a couple years ago, but the money just wasn't there. They weren't really running that well when they would race. Just a lot of bad luck, and unfortunately it didn't work out. But I love Dawson. He's a good kid. I hope he lands somewhere. I think he's found a decent home at CHK because they can bring him a good enough car to at least be semi-competitive. I think the part that just really hurts them, is tire budget. And that's kind of what really hurt them in the race itself was the lack of tires and maybe an inexperienced pit crew because that's really where the 74's day went bad. We'll get to that again in a little bit. Other good guys that had great runs in practice, like I said, Ryan Reed, 15th, Kyle Weatherman and Josh Williams, top 20, shocker. Some of the guys, backmarkers that did struggle, the cars that needed to make the show on time, like the 07 of Gray Goulding, I was shocked to see how slow his car was. I mean, only 39th, and Gray's usually pretty good. At Las Vegas. I think he had a top 10 finish there in 2019 for SS Greenlight Racing. Stephon Parsons was only 33rd. Blaine Perkins was 34th. Garrett Smithley was 35th. He had to make the show on time too. CJ McLaughlin, again, it's just, I throw shade. I do throw some shade at people on the show. I'm not going to lie because I think some of it's warranted. But seriously, CJ McLaughlin, you're in a full, is he in a full RSS setup or not? How can he be this slow? Like, seriously, CJ McLaughlin is a lovely guy. I've met him before. He's a lovely, lovely guy. But how can he be this slow in a full RSS car? I just don't get it. I understand. That car is top 20 caliber easily. And yet he's going there and he's literally in last place. And he literally was almost if not the slowest car the entire race. I mean, are they not trying with the car? Probably not. I mean, again, the only reason why he's running the 28 cars because that was part of the deal for Cy Apps to be on the 39 was that CJ would get to run some races for RSS after he was released by Emerling Gase Motorsports because he crashed half their inventory, whether they want to admit that or not. Again, I mean, we throw shade, but come on, I feel like it's warranted. CJ McLaughlin, man, he's slow. He's so slow. He's not a bad guy, but boy, is he slow. But yeah, Gray Goulding, they just said the car wasn't really in the track. They had a small electrical fire on the 07 as well. It's just like, I don't know. The 07, it just wasn't, I don't know. He's just like saying it wasn't in the track. You know, it wasn't in the track. It wasn't there. It didn't feel like the car had enough grip in it. And it really showed. It really, really did show on the charts that it was going to be an uphill battle for Patrick Emmerling and Gray Galding to make the show. They were going to be the DNQs based off of practice speeds. So we get into qualifying right afterwards. Dawson Cram gets out there, sets a blistering lap in his 74 car. Again, for a Mike Harmon car, a car that does not have a leased motor that I know of. I do not believe this car was not listed. The 74 was not listed on the ECR Engines Facebook page. So to my knowledge, this car did not have an ECR engine. Did it maybe have maybe a qualifying setup in it? We don't know. Again, we really don't know if it did have kind of a qualifying setup in the car. But man, what a lap. Like seriously, what a lap for this car, this team that has struggled to just make races, be competitive. I mean, an unbelievable lap. 21st place is where they would end up, but a 30.35. They beat a lot of guys who were running leased motors from Ford, from Toyota, and Chevrolet. And they outran them all. A very impressive lap by Dawson Cram. Some other backmarkers that did well. Kyle Weatherman just continues to do amazing things for DGM Racing. 12th. Unbelievable. Get this guy a JRM car, please. Jeremy Clements, you know, he continues to do what he does best. He's mid-pack, but he does well. 16th. He's always a great underdog to root for. Ryan Reed, he kind of missed his lap a little bit in 1 and 2, but was able to salvage 25th. So, yeah, like I said, no had to worry about them locking themselves into the race. Then it kind of came crunch time to who was going to miss the race. Raja Karuth, he struggled on his lap bad. That car was loose all over the place. It kind of came pretty clear that the 07 car was not going to make the field. It also looked like that the 53 was not going to make the field, but then guys like Brennan Poole, guys like Raja went slower than him. And I'm like, man, the 53's got a shot here. If he can get one more car, he can make the show on time, and that would kick out Garrett Smithley. And sure enough, and I do say this in kind of an ironic twist, it was actually Brennan Poole. The car that went slower, the final car that went slower than Garrett Smith, slower than Patrick Emmerling, was actually Brennan Poole. And that knocked Garrett Smithley out of the race. It's kind of weird saying that. But Brennan Poole unintentionally knocked his own teammate out of the race because he did not go faster than the 53. Had he gone faster than the 53 car, the 53 car would have missed the show. And the 4 would have been in. So it's kind of weird how racing works sometimes. Sometimes you accidentally knock out your own teammate and you don't even mean to do it. But the 53 was in, man. I say that's shocking. That was really shocking to me that the 53 car made the show, because I didn't think that car had that kind of speed in it. Unfortunately, we would come to find out, though, it probably would have been better for Emmerling Gase Motorsports had the 53 missed the show, because the race didn't go very well for them. We'll get to that in a brief second. But unfortunately, that sealed the fate for Garrett Smithley for his not first, not second, but seventh DNQ of 2023 for Garrett Smithley. It amazes me that he's had this many DNQs this year. I know a couple of them have been out of his control. But, man, he's never DNQ'd an Xfinity race up until this year, and he's just really, really struggled this year to make races. The 07, like I said, I don't know, yeah, like what you're saying in the chat, the 07 just looked evil. It was not into the corner at all. It wouldn't stick. It was loose. It did not look good. It was not a good lap, not a good car. I don't know what SS Greenlight Racing has planned for next year, but, man, they got to figure something out. Maybe go back down to one car. I don't know. Maybe stick with one car and then a part-time car. But, man, it has been a bad year for SS Greenlight Racing. And it's hard to believe, man. They started this year off with 2 full-time drivers, Blaine Perkins in the 07, and ironically, Gray Galding in the 08. Both of them left. Gray's kind of come back a couple times, but it's just been a bad year. It really is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It has been a bad year for SS Greenlight Racing. And the 07, so we said Garrett misses his 7th race of the year. The 07 car misses its 4th race of the year. So for the DNQs, it was definitely DNQs that the team really couldn't afford, unfortunately. So those were the DNQs. Again, CJ McLaughlin, slowest in practice, slowest in qualifying, but, well, he makes the show. So that's what owner points get you. So we come to the race itself the next day, and like we mentioned with the 53 car earlier, it was over before it really began for poor Patrick Emmerling. Not 3 laps into the race, poor Patrick Emmerling was coming down the front stretch, and grenade. The motor goes away, and insult to injury, not only does he blow the motor, he hits the wall. So not only do you have a blown motor, now you've got damage to the car. The car wasn't really heavily sponsored either. So in a way, I'm not even sure if they would have made a profit. So not a good day for the 53 car. And I just cannot say enough, man, the 53 car cannot buy themselves any luck. I wanted to talk about this because I don't feel like it's been talked about enough. The 35 Emmerling Gase car has done okay, but I really wanted to talk about the 53 Emmerling Gase car. These are the results for the Emmerling Gase car since the Indianapolis Grand Prix race, okay? With Brad Perez at Indianapolis, 38th because Brad had brake issues. Literally, they caught on fire. 35th at Daytona with Natalie Decker. 27th at Darlington, which is kind of okay with Matt Mills. 19th at Kansas with Matt Mills, which is actually pretty solid. DNQ at Watkins Glen. DNQ race 27. 35th at Texas. 35th at the Roval. And 38th at Las Vegas. Like, wow. Just DNQs and bad runs for that 53 car. And it just makes you wonder, is Emmerling Gase one of those lower budget teams that expanded too early? You know, we talked about that earlier with Alpha Prime Racing. Was the move to 3 cars maybe not the right call for Alpha Prime Racing? I would say they have done better than I thought they would. I'll admit that. They are doing better than I thought they would be. Ryan Ellis has done a very good job. Raja Karuth has done a very good job. Guys like Leland Honeyman, he's done a great job. I would say even Jeffrey Earnhardt, when he cares, he does a good job when he cares to do a good job. But Emmerling Gase Motorsports, I don't know, man. I think Emmerling Gase Motorsports would have been better off just staying a 1-car team and then running a 2nd car at the plate tracks like they did in 2022. Because, man, I tell you, I think all the crashes that have happened for that team, all the mechanical issues that have happened for that team, I think as we're in the late part of this year, I think they've exhausted everything good that they have, and they're just trying to get through the year. And I hate it because I love Joey Gase. He's a fellow Iowa boy. I love Joey Gase. I would never say anything bad about Joey Gase. I'd love to get Joey Gase on this show if we could. Patrick Emmerling, a very well-respected modified driver, very accomplished in his own right. 2 lovable guys. It's a team that you can like. Emmerling Gase Motorsports is good people. But was that move to 2 cars a good idea? In my personal opinion, it was not. And it's really showing. It's really, really showing in the second half of this year. But, yeah, tough break for Patrick Emmerling. Not, like I said, 2 laps on lap 3. Or like coming on lap 4, I say. Not 3 laps into the race, on lap 4. Blows the engine, hits the wall, day's over. So we get back going green again, and more chaos. 3 laps later, Brett Moffitt, coming off of turn 4, hits the wall, and Joe Grab Jr., I've watched replays of this, but Joe Grab Jr. Just appeared that he had really maybe nowhere to go, and he just kind of ran into the back of the 38. Nowhere really to go. Unfortunately, Joe Graf Jr. gets the worst of it. Some heavy right side damage and some nose damage. And we did mention on last week's show how the 38 car really can't afford a bad finish because the 08 car from SS Greenlight Racing is closing in on the 38 car in the top 30 Xfinity bonus battle. And as we know, the top 30 are automatically set for the next 3 races, or for the first 3 races, I should say, in 2024. Now, there have been rumors that Joe Graf will not be back at RSS Racing next year. There have been rumors that maybe Frankie Muniz will be in the 38 car next year. Again, they're all just rumors. Where does Joe Graf Jr. lie? Some people have said Joe Gibbs. Some people have said Gibbs might be a landing spot. Some people have said Sam Hunt Racing. Again, these are all just rumors. Until anything is confirmed, we can only speculate. I can only speculate what I've been hearing from some friends, but until we get a solid confirmation, at the end of the day, they're just rumors. But tough break for the 38 car. They really, really couldn't afford that because the 08 car did gain ground on them, and they have 3 races left. And right now, that gap between the 38 and the 08 is 7 points. And I think, and I would probably bet that's why they've kept Stefan Parsons in the 08 car, to try to maximize the effort to get to that extra $7,000. Because I'm telling you guys, when it comes to NASCAR, an extra $7,000 a week, that's a lot of money to a team like RSS and a team like SS Greenlight Racing. Like we've said on the show weekly, $7,000 goes such a long way for these teams, man. You know, in terms of paying for hotels, in terms of paying for food for the people, travel, just basic travel expenses, just anything and everything. $7,000 goes a long way. And not having that, I would say, has definitely been a struggle for teams like SS Greenlight Racing and Emerling Gase Motorsports and JD Motorsports. Now, thankfully, Brennan Poole, being the badass that he is, Brennan Poole got that 6 car into the top 30, and they've been in the top 30 bonus for about the last 3 or 4 weeks. But I feel like that's going to be a battle to watch these next 3 races, guys, and it's just between really them. The 43 car has the healthy lead. It really is just between the 38 and the 08. It'll be a really interesting, especially at a track like Homestead, where we know Stefan loves to rip that high line. And Joe Graf hasn't exactly had the best runs, but he's had some respectable finishes there as well. So it wouldn't shock me for sure if the 08 car has way more effort being put into it than the 07, because the 08 actually has something to fight for, if that makes sense. So, yeah, not what Joe Graf Jr. needed. It killed Brett Moffitt's day. I mean, he was pretty much over after that with all the damage he suffered. So we get down to the end of stage 1. The 43 car, Ellis got the free pass, so great job by them. And then we had the crash that everyone was talking about from the Xfinity race, the big one at Las Vegas. For some strange reason, the Las Vegas Xfinity races usually have a giant crash. Not really sure why. It just kind of happens. We really don't know why. Then that happens for the oddest reasons. Unfortunately, it just happened at the wrong time. We were on lap 2 of a restart, so everyone was still all close together. And unfortunately, Kaz Grala's motor literally decided to grenade at the worst time. I mean, literally, this could not have happened at a worse time. Right as they were going into turn 1. Yeah, we'll talk about the truck stuff when we get to the Homestead portion. Kaz Grala literally blows a motor at the worst time, and I mean the worst time. Sends fluid all up into turn 1 for the entire back half of the field to run through. So Raja Caruth gets collected. Grala is destroyed. Both DGM cars destroyed. The 78 of Anthony Alfredo, which noted this week in the 78 car of Anthony Alfredo was completely unsponsored. I thought that was kind of interesting right there, that the 78 car was completely blank. Kind of weird to see, because we know Andy's got a lot of funding behind him. But yeah, wiped them out. It only actually wiped out those 5 cars. The other cars that were involved, like I said, were Jeremy Clements and Raja Caruth. They kept going. There were a couple of cars that I think the 6 got turned by the 08 in kind of like they were trying to slow down and they just kind of came together. So a couple more cars were involved, but the crash only took out 4 cars. The crash itself only took out 4 cars, but there were a lot of cars that are like the 51's day, it was killed. The 6 car, the front nose was kind of all jacked up, so he couldn't run as probably good as he could. Raja, it knocked the crush panel out, so he was not going to have the best downforce. Definitely a big blow to a lot of teams who really, again, can't afford that this close to the end of the year when they're just trying to get through it. This was kind of after like when we eliminated all those cars. We were only down to 32 cars still running. Everybody had kind of spread themselves out, got to the stage 2, and then we ran a 105 laps to the very end. Full green flag run to the end. And unfortunately, it was during this green flag run where it kind of went wrong for some back markers. On one of these pit stops, Dawson Cram, who had not went under 21st, 23rd place the entire race, made a pit stop. I don't know exactly what happened, but unfortunately, they had to come back down pit road. Just stuff kept going wrong. I don't know if they had an extra. I think they may have been out of tires. Judging by his lap times, I don't think they had any tires left either. I mean, either that or they had crappy tires, like used, because the 74 was not running the same lap times. If anything, they were just like nursing the car home. He came back out on track. All of a sudden, he was a lead lap car, and then he came back out on track 5 laps down, if that makes sense. In that last run, too, the 43 car really started to fade. Not because of Ryan Ellis. I think it's just because sometimes Carl's cars, maybe just tires, too, old tires. A lot of other cars that did struggle, Jeremy Clements, like he was on and off pit road so many times due to the crash damage. Joey Gase, he was on and off pit road. Like I said, it was not a good day for Emerling Gase Motorsports. Day they would like to forget. Through all of that, we had one of the most surprising winners of the entire year, Riley Herbst. And I say a big congratulations to Riley Herbst. And I really do mean this. A big congratulations to Riley Herbst for finally getting his first career NASCAR win. It's not his first career win. He does have 2 wins in the ARCA series. But it's his first career NASCAR sanctioned win. His last ARCA win came at the 2020 ARCA race at Michigan. So it's been a while since Riley really has even won a race. Big congratulations to Riley Herbst. He dominated that race, man. Won by over 15 seconds. Good for him. Good for him for shutting up a lot of the haters. Just a very feel-good win. Very feel-good. And it's so sad to think, though, that Stewart-Haas Racing's first win of the year. That's kind of a sad statement. It really is. Congratulations to him. That was cool to see. He won more convincingly than Daniel Hemrick did, that's for sure. Due to this long green flag run, a lot of the back markers, whatever they had for good runs, kind of went away. The highest, and I'm not really calling it a back marker because they have good funding behind them, but just because it's a part-time car. Again, shout out to Kyle Sieg. In my personal opinion, Kyle Sieg, still top 5 most underrated drivers in the Xfinity Series. This kid's got a lot of talent. If Ryan Sieg decides to retire, I really hope they push Kyle Sieg as the future of RSS because he has the talent. Kyle Sieg is Kyle Sieg, and I will die on that hill. 18th for him. Ryan Reed, man, he ran a great race for the out in the Alpha Prime car, numbered as Carl Long. Top 20 effort in his first run back. Great run for Alpha Prime. Carl Long will sure take the owner points, that's for sure. But nonetheless, a great run for the 66 car. Daniel Dye, 21st. Raja Crew, 23rd. So actually a pretty decent day overall for Alpha Prime Racing, even despite the damage to the 45 car. Brendan Poole got home 25th. Stefan Parsons, 26th. So you think about it. Stefan, he gained 11 points. Like I said, in that precious battle with the 38 car. Ryan Ellis struggled there at the end, came home 27th. Blaine Perkins finished the race, 28th. CJ McLaughlin, he finished the race and 29th. And, of course, the 51, 74, and 35 were just really kind of nursing their cars to the finish, honestly, in the last 20 laps. They were really struggling out there. The race itself was okay. The Xfinity cars on 1.5-mile tracks always put on bangers, in my opinion. They rarely put on bad races. Xfinity Series is the best NASCAR series. There's no doubt about that. We all know that. I will say this, though. The RSS admin, I don't know what's wrong. Maybe someone pissed them off, but someone needs to check on the RSS Racing Twitter admin because he really went off after the race. Actually kind of gave one of the more funnier posts. So this is what the RSS Racing, not the Ryan Sieg Racing, the RSS Racing Twitter account posted. Las Vegas results. Ryan Sieg finishes 16th after a tire penalty cost him a better finish. Kyle Sieg 18th with a solid finish and a clean car like always. CJ McLaughlin continues to do what we ask and finishes the race. Joe Graff with a DNF and another poor finish for the 38 car. I'm like, oh, God. The RSS Racing Twitter admin went crazy on CJ McLaughlin and Joe Graff Jr. And I'm sorry, but that was the funniest thing ever. You don't usually see Twitter admins act like that. I thought it was hilarious, but I'm like, oh, they did CJ and Joe so badly. I mean, Joe is better than that. You know, when he doesn't crash, Joe is actually a pretty decent driver. I will give him that. Joe is not a bad driver, in my personal opinion. Joe Graff Jr. has gotten a lot better since his ARCA days. CJ McLaughlin, now fun. You know, he's CJ McLaughlin. He's going to run slow, but I guess if you bring it home in one piece, they won't be mad. But, God, why did the Twitter admin have to do him like that? That's so funny. I'm sorry. It's hilarious to me. But the race was okay. Race was fun. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Congratulations to Riley Herbst. The backmarkers did struggle in that last long green flag run, but still, all my guys made the race. Was 50% correct. I was not actually correct at all in my DNQ picks. So congratulations to EGM for shutting me up because they were my DNQ picks, both EGM cars. So that was the Xfinity Series at Las Vegas. And then we move on to the Cup race, the 2023 South Point 400. And, well, there really wasn't much to say about it in terms of the back markers. You know, obviously that's part of our show is the back markers. And realistically, guys, there's not much to say about the back markers for this Cup race. The 78, 51, and 15 had no speed. They were the 3 slowest cars the entire weekend and practice and kind of qualifying. I mean, JJ's a good qualifier. He can qualify a car good. But overall, they just really didn't. None of the 3 cars had speed in the race. I mean, they really didn't. You know, BJ, he's the slowest. We know that. We expect that. Not because we know he's slow. It's just because the car is, you know, he's trying to take care of the car, get it to the next week. But yeah, the 51 obviously was running faster than the 15. They were just kind of there. You know, I mean, they really weren't battling for anything. The 77 of Ty Dillon actually was running pretty decently. They've really changed that car ever since Bono Mannion took over as crew chief. They finished 24th. Corey LaJoie finished 19th. So at least a top 20 finish for Spire. But that was really pretty much it. A lot of green flag runs, a couple of accidents, but a lot of green flag runs. Not a lot of DNFs, only 2 crash DNFs. Hate that for Carson Hocevar, man. He was really doing a good job for a Legacy Motor Club in the 42 car. He kind of crashed after a right rear tire failure. Kind of ends the 42's momentum that they were on. Hopefully they can continue that. But yeah, like I said, guys, there's really not much to say for this race. Kyle Larson won in a very thrilling finish with Christopher Bell. So at least the fans, you could say, the fans got themselves a good finish, which is always good. We want that. We want the fans to have a great finish, and I'm glad about that. Kyle Larson does go to Phoenix in the Championship 4, which I predicted. He was in my Championship 4. He is my championship pick, by the way, too, for anyone that is asking. Kyle Larson is my 2023 champion pick. But Yeah, the back markers didn't do very good. Corey LaJoie does a good job. When Corey LaJoie isn't doing stupid stuff, he's not a bad driver. I don't like throwing shade at Corey LaJoie, but he can do some stupid stuff, but overall, he's still a solid driver. Ty Dillon, the 77 team actually continues to get better, in my opinion. I kind of feel for Ty. I think Ty Dillon gets too much hate. I'll be honest with you guys about that. I think Ty Dillon gets way too much unnecessary hate. I like Ty. He's really tried to carve his own career. He hasn't gotten half the opportunities that Austin Dillon has got when you really think about it. After his Xfinity kind of career ended, he's kind of been on his own, and I respect him for making the best of his opportunities. But yeah, and then like I said, Yaley 29th, Poole 30th, BJ 31st. They did beat a couple guys. They beat Chase Elliott, who was in a backup car. It was a long weekend for him. Oh, my brother's on the ATV. That was just on the security camera. And then Chase Briscoe and then Ty Gibbs. It did beat a couple of guys, but like I said, realistically, this was probably one of the least competitive races I've seen out of both Rick Ware cars in the 78. They were literally just there. And that's being generous. In my opinion, that's being honest. They were literally just there. They were not necessarily competitive at all. I mean, maybe for a couple of laps after a green flag run, but then they would just kind of fall back into the same spots that they were before. Where it would be JJ and then Poole and then BJ. And obviously, like I said, they're doing the best they can. JJ runs that car as hard as he can. I'm sure Poole is running it hard. BJ could probably go harder if he wanted to, but, he's probably got to use the car the next week, so you don't want to tear it up because of Balicki's driving the 78 at Homestead, which is understandable. That's how BJ drives. He's conservative. It would just be great to see BJ McLeod drive a car that he doesn't have to worry about crashing or doesn't have to worry about paying for. I would really love to see what BJ McLeod could really do. Hard to believe that BJ McLeod's going to be 40 this year. I mean, I remember seeing BJ drive in his mid-20s when I was 5. And now he's about to turn 40. I guess that means I'm getting old too. So we'll talk more about the top 33 stuff when we get to Homestead. But that was Las Vegas. Xfinity race, in my opinion, was better than the Cup race. Like I said, the backmarkers didn't do overly well. I mean, like I said, Michael McDowell 17th. That's okay. Harrison Burton 20th. That's a decent run for him. Todd Gilliland also struggled. 27th. These long runs and tracks like this really put the backmarkers to the test when it comes to their setups. And, yeah, it definitely didn't work. But that was Las Vegas. Overall, a good weekend. Like I said, Xfinity race was better. And now we move on to Homestead, one of my personal, if not my favorite track on the circuit when it comes to intermediates. And I think we can all agree, the rightful championship track. I have no idea why this track is not the championship race. It never should have left. The championship at Phoenix just does not feel right. We have all 3 series coming here. We'll start off with the truck series. Yes, the trucks are finally back after what feels like an eternity ever since Talladega. We had 37 trucks for this race last year. And I would say, honestly, so shocking. We only have 35 trucks for this race. Now, as we've seen, you wonder, well, why aren't we going to see someone roll out a starting park? Well, that has been outlawed. We did see that earlier this year with Tim Vines in the G2G at Kansas. And let me say, they did get some flack for that. I think they got in trouble. I don't know if they got fined, but they did get some flack for that for sure. But we have 35 trucks for 36 spots, so nobody's going to go home. Some notable entries in the field. We have the 02, Brad Perez. Yes, Brad Perez is back. After he said his driving career was done for the season. He lied to us. Brad Perez lied to us. Also noted by its missing absence is the number 1 Tricon entry. Now, remember, that truck was not supposed to be full-time anyway. It's missed a couple races, and this is one of those races that the number 1 truck will not be at. So, yeah, Brad Perez is in the 02. Spencer Davis is back in the 04. Marco Andretti will be in the 7 truck for the final couple truck races. So great to see Marco run more NASCAR races. Nick Leitz will be in the 20. He'll be taken over from Greg Van Alst, who is still out. He's out for the year with severe back injuries from his Talladega crash. Greg, hope you're getting better, man. We all love you. Mason Maggio is in the 22 again for AM, the Rayom entry combo effort. The 25 truck, this one's interesting. Trevor Bayne, yes. Remember Trevor Bayne? He is back in the truck series for what? The first time since what? 2020? First time that Trevor Bayne's back in the truck series since 2020 when he drove for Nice. Remember Trevor Bayne driving for Nice? Me neither. Took me a second to realize that Trevor Bayne drove for Nice. Shows you just how forgotten the 2020 season really was. I completely forgot that Trevor Bayne nearly won for Nice Motorsports in 2020. But yeah, Trevor Bayne is back in the 25 truck for the final 2 races. Great pickup by the 25 team. Bayne's going to give that truck a good run for sure. Jonathan Schaefer is in the 30 truck for On Point Motorsports. Noted also by his absence, Brett Holmes will not be at will not be here and will not be at Phoenix. He will not be at those races. I don't know if it's funding issues, sponsorship issues. It has been kind of a tough season for the 32 team. Lots of crashes, DNFs, mechanical issues. It's hard doing this by yourself, man. And I hate to see that for Brett Holmes because I like Brett Holmes, 2020 ARCA champion. He knows what he's doing behind the wheel. It's just they've had a lot of bad luck. And I hate to see the fact that Brett won't be back this year, but he will be back in 2024. I'm sure they got some better stuff coming there. Memphis Villarreal will be in the 33 again for Rayom. Great to see him back in that truck. Bailey Curry will stay in the 41. Tyler Hill, of course, he'll stay in the 56 for the remainder of the year. Jake Drew, of course, in the 61. Armani Williams, he's back in the 46 entry. Great to see G2G back. And yeah, that's pretty much it. 35 trucks for 36 spots. Nobody goes home. How will the 2 truck of Nick Sanchez and Matt Crafton race each other? We'll find out. Obviously, there's been a lot of time to clear the air. There's been a lot of time to clear the air between them. I'm sure NASCAR will sit them down and tell them, like, boys, we can't have it go down like this. But yeah, really shocking to see no trucks going home for this race. But I guess in reality, had we seen the number 1 truck show up and the 32 truck show up, there would have been a DNQ. So it's just because some trucks didn't show up. That's why we have a short field. Hate seeing short fields in the truck series, but in some ways it means more money for the teams because then they just take the 36th place purse money and then just disperse that into the 35 truck. So if anything, it's a win for the rest of the field because they get more money. For the truck series, again, the top 20 battle in owners points. Again, you got to get that bonus award for truck series. The owners bonus right now sits as the top 20. The GMS truck has it over the other Thor Sport. Ooh, excuse me there. Thor Sport holds it over GMS right now. CR7 and Hill are just too far behind, unfortunately. So it really just kind of comes down to which Thor Sport truck will be in and which Thor Sport truck will be out of that top 20 bonus. Moving on to Xfinity from Homestead, the race of the weekend. I'm calling it now because the Xfinity Series at a track like Homestead, there's no way it cannot be good. So, yeah. This one also has a very wacky entry list. The Xfinity entry lists have sure become wacky. We have 41 cars for 38 spots, a big entry list for this race. Some real oddball entries, too. We have the 4. It's not Kyle Weatherman, and it's not Garrett Smithley. It's J.J. Yaley will be in the number 4 for JD Motorsports. In my personal opinion, a great pickup. We know the 4 car has struggled to make races. A great pickup by JD Motorsports. JJ is a great qualifier. There's no doubt in my mind he'll probably get that car in the show. Natalie Decker is back in the 07 car with the Wawa sponsorship. Probably going to go home. But she's back nonetheless. Mason Massey is back in the 08. Derek Kraus returns to the 11. Myatt Snyder was listed in the 19, but the sponsor, Wawa, kind of gives it away. It's Joe Grab Jr. He will be in the 19 car, not Myatt Snyder. Mason Maggio will be in the 29. Kyle Sieg will be in the 38 since Joe Graff is going over to Gibbs. CJ McLaughlin, again, this is part of his 5-race deal in the 28 car. So Mason Maggio will be in the 29. So 4 cars, once again, like I said, for the RSS team. The 35 will be Patrick Emmerling. Currently listed as TBA, but he will be in that truck or that car, sorry. Jeffrey Earnhardt returns to Alpha Prime Racing in the 44. Leland Honeyman returns to the 45 car for Alpha Prime as well. Matt Mills returns to Emmerling Gase Motorsports in the 53. Ryan Newman, yes, the Rocket Man himself, Ryan Newman, will be in the 66 for Carl Long, a partnership I never thought I would ever see, and a partnership I've never wanted so badly. Gotta love Ryan Newman, man, running for a lot of the lower budget teams this year. He's ran a lot of races this year for Rick Ware, and it's great to see him back in, kind of the old school NASCARs, stock cars from the Gen 6 era, because that's kind of what, they're running on now. But yeah, Ryan Newman's first Xfinity start in a long time. 10 years since he's ran an Xfinity race? So, yeah, great to see Ryan Newman there in the 66 car. I'm sure Carl Long is going to give him the best damn stuff he can get. Dawson Cram and CHK are going to give it another shot. That young rookie from North Carolina, Dale Earnhardt Jr., I'm not sure who he is. Dale Earnhardt Jr., I don't know who that man is. Somehow got sponsorship from Bass Pro Shops. It's great to see Junebug back out there. He loves Homestead. He can't wait for this. Of course, Kyle Weatherman in the 91. So 41 cars for 38 spots. Now, it is Homestead. So we got to talk about this too. Rain. If it does rain, the cars that do go home in case of a rainstorm are the 29 of Mason Maggio, the 74 of Dawson Cram, and unfortunately the 66 of Ryan Newman. Those are the cars that will go home if qualifying gets rained out. The reason why the 88 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. will make the show is because if you guys remember, the past winner's provisional works in rainouts. It's weird how that works for some reason, but the 88 car won a race last year with Kyle Larson at Watkins Glen. So I guess they have a past winner's provisional for the 88 car if qualifying gets rained out. So if we want Ryan Newman to make the show, can't rain out. Qualifying's got to happen. Now, knowing the Xfinity Series, I'm sure they will try their best to work with the teams and work with the TV. If they do have some rain issues and it looks like they can get qualifying in, they're going to give it a shot. If it looks like a complete washout, well, it's going to be a complete washout. But if they're going to probably give it a shot. Just how cool would that be to see Ryan Newman and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in an Xfinity race together? That'd be so cool. Last time we saw that was 2010? The last time we saw Dale Jr. and Ryan Newman in an Xfinity race together? That is awesome. Like I said, the Xfinity Series always brings out the best battles. Like I said, we'll talk about it right now. The top 20 driver and owner's bonus and the top 30 Xfinity owner's bonus. A lot of fun bonuses to talk about in this series. Top 20 in driver points right now, Kyle Sieg has taken it over from Anthony Alfredo. Yes. And for what the bonus is, a cool $80,000. Let me tell you that, man, $80,000, that's a lot of money. But that's kind of a thank you from NASCAR for being in the top 20 in driver points. And right now, the drivers that are looking into that, notables too, I would say. Guys like Anthony Alfredo, guys like Josh Williams, Joe Graff Jr., Brennan Poole, Ryan Ellis. Now noted, those guys have missed a couple races. Josh Williams has missed one, and Brennan Poole and Ryan Ellis have both missed two. But noted, Anthony Alfredo, man, even Kyle Sieg, he's actually missed two races and has somehow still in the top 20 in points. That's how good he is. But, yeah, for Anthony Alfredo, man, he's got to get back in that top 20 if he wants that extra $80,000. That chunk of change goes a long way with those guys. The Xfinity top 20 owners bonus, again, also pays $80,000. That is right now between the 39 car and the 51 car. Really no battle there. 86-point gap which cannot be made up in 3 races. So easy to say the top 20 in Xfinity owners is set. So congratulations to them. But like we discussed, guys, the top 30 that we talked about in Las Vegas, 7 points. So really keep your eyes on the 08 car and the 38 car this weekend at Homestead, because it's a 7-point gap with 3 races to go. That could go both ways. 3 races in a row, man. So that's going to be something to watch out for sure. For sure. Yeah, like I said, my DNQ picks, if, and I mean if, qualifying does happen, and I want to see your guys' DNQ picks in the chat. My Xfinity DNQ picks, man, we have seen how crazy the DNQ have been this year for Xfinity. DNQ picks for the Xfinity series at Homestead. Well, first off, I'm picking the 07. I think we can all agree. Love Natalie Decker, but there's just no way she's going to make the show on time. It's just not going to happen. So 07 for 1. I'm actually, unfortunately, going to go with Mason Maggio. I love Mason. We've had him on the show before, but I don't know, man. I unfortunately think he's going to miss it. And my third one is actually going to be, I'm going to pick Matt Mills, unfortunately. Those are going to be my 3 DNQ picks. If qualifying does happen, of course, we know who's going to go home if it doesn't happen, but I don't know. It's such a wide open qualifying session, guys. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. I don't know who you guys pick in the chat for the DNQ picks. We haven't seen any there yet, but it's going to be crazy, guys. Absolutely insane. I forgot to give picks. I forgot to give picks. My pick to win the truck race is Ty Majeski. My pick to win this Xfinity race, well, I'd love it to be Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got a shot. He really does. Let's see here. My pick to win the Xfinity race, I'll give it to Cole Custer. Why not? I think Cole Custer will get it done. So I'm going to go with Cole Custer as my Xfinity pick. Some chats. We got the 07. Yeah, everyone's got the 07. I mean, that's kind of a guaranteed one right there. 29. Yeah, I mean, I love Mason Maggio, but I think the inexperience might get to him. We have some Emerling Gase cars. Yeah, it's just kind of the same DNQ picks from everyone. It'll be interesting to see. Can these guys make the show? We know Matt Mills, under pressure, he can usually make the show under pressure. The 29, who knows? Mason has run at Homestead before. He has run at Homestead before. But again, we'll see. I wouldn't be worried for the 66 unless the rain shows up. Ryan should be more than capable of getting that car in the show. You only got to beat 8 cars. Realistically, the 07, you only got to beat 7 realistically. So I think Ryan will be fine if qualifying does actually happen. So Xfinity race is going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, Cole Custer's a pick for that one. DNQ picks once again, guys, 07, 29, and 53. Although, like I said, I'd love to be proved wrong. Now we'll move on to the Cup race. 36 cars for 36 spots because, well, again, there's no need to show up as an open team because you're not going to run good and you're not going to get any money out of it. The Forever 400. I love the fact that Kevin Harvick, his retirement tour, is sponsoring the race. That's pretty badass. We also got the Budweiser car back for Kevin Harvick. That's even more badass. That's a really cool throwback diecast right there. Not really changes on the entry list other than, the usuals, what we see. Ryan Newman pulling double duty. He will be in the 51. J.J. Yaley moves back over to the 15. And Josh Bilicki will be running his final race of the year for Live Fast Motorsports. As we know, Rick Ware Racing, at this point, I don't know what Rick Ware Racing is going to do. They are over 23 points behind with just a couple races to go. In my personal opinion, they will not make that up. Will they be doing a charter swap? They either have a couple options here. They're going to sell it, or they're going to do a charter swap with RFK. Or RFK is just going to buy the charter. We don't know what's going to happen. But Rick Ware will not make the top 33 at this point. I think it's just too far for them to climb. The 77 has become too strong. And they're still behind their team car. I mean, they're not even 34th in points. They're 35th in points. So, yeah. Yeah, for sure. And, every car in the top 36 does get a bonus, by the way. All 36 chartered cars do get a bonus from NASCAR. But we just know the top 25 get an extra $1 million. I'm sure the higher cars get even more. But a top 25 get an extra $1 million. Right now, that top 25 is being held by Colleague. They got a 14-point gap over the 7 car. So that battle's still on. Like I said, all 36 cars do get a bonus. But Rick Ware Racing, I would say that their days of trying to get to the top 33 are over. The 42 and the 77 have impressively increased their performance, while I will say the Rick Ware cars in the last 10 races really have gotten worse. Unfortunately, you could say maybe they exhausted all their good engines and parts early in the year. It's weird saying that because they're all spec. So it's like all the parts are spec, not the engines, but the parts are spec. So it's like, how can you exhaust all your good parts when it's the same stuff? It just matters. It just comes down to really engines. So we'll see what Rick Ware does with that. Hopefully Yaley and Newman can get some good runs. We know Ryan Newman loves Homestead, so hopefully he can get some good runs for Carl Long and Rick Ware this weekend. Who would have thought Ryan Newman running for Carl Long and Rick Ware in the same weekend? Who the hell ever saw that coming? And I don't know why I love it so much. I love it. Guy like Ryan Newman running for these guys. I love it. Absolutely love it. My pick for this Cup race, Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson led 200 laps of the 267 last year and won. So I'm easily picking Kyle Larson to go back-to-back wins in the 5 car. I think all 3 races this weekend will deliver. Homestead rarely puts on bad races. I mean, I think it's almost incapable of Homestead to put on a bad race. So I think we're in for 3 banger races this weekend. I think we're going to see some fun racing. Watch the backmarkers as always, guys, because they're fighting battles to the very end. So we got picks from William Byron. That's a good choice too. But yeah, guys, I think it's going to be a fun weekend of racing. And yeah, man, we don't have many backmarker battle episodes left. And I just want to say thank you all who have joined for this entire year. First time this year I've done 2 podcasts the entire year. The Backmarker Battles and ARCA Racing podcast. It's been a lot of fun. We only got a couple of ARCA podcasts to do. We got a couple of these left to do, and then we're it for the year. We'll be doing more content videos. We're doing more other fun stuff, diecast reviews from my personal collection, all that fun stuff. All that fun stuff. Yes, I would love to see a Kevin Harvick win. Amen. My pick is Kyle Larson. But if Kevin Harvick could somehow win this race and the race named after him in the Budweiser car, holy crap, I would lose my shit. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I would lose it. And I'm not even a Kevin Harvick fan. I've never been the biggest Kevin Harvick fan, but I want him to get a win so badly in his last year. So badly. But God, if Harvick won, that would just be great. That would be absolutely great. Can you imagine having 2 popular winners 2 weeks in a row? Or 3 weeks in a row, AJ Allmendinger, Kyle Larson, and then Kevin Harvick. Oh, that'd be great. The sport would need that too, to be honest with you. But we'll find out. We'll find out on Sunday. So I really don't have underdog picks because I think my main picks are going to dominate the race. So I'm going to get out of here, guys. I'm going to go get some dinner. Thank you all again for tuning into another fun episode of Backmarker Battles. I love doing all this with all of you guys live. Again, please like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for all notifications so you guys never missed a podcast when we go live. Hope you guys like the updates we've made to the YouTube channel. And yeah, we'll see you all on Thursday live at 7 p.m. once again with the ARCA Racing podcast. It's a West Series show reviewing the Las Vegas Bull Ring race and previewing the West Series return to Madera Speedway for the first time since 2009. So that's going to be a lot of fun, guys. We only got 4 likes on this stream, so I'd love to see at least 10 likes for this podcast. And yeah, till Thursday, you all have a great Tuesday night, a great rest of your week, and I will see hopefully all of you on Thursday night live at 7 p.m. to discuss some good old ARCA West action. And yeah, I give you guys the goodbye salute, and I say goodbye. Colby Evans, Starting Park Car, signing off. I bid you farewell, guys. Goodbye.